Welcome back. This is Robin Minds. Before we went on the break, we were having conversations around the security architecture of this country, and we talked about the Democracy Day that we just celebrated. Right about now, let us move into a topic that is rarely talked about. When you hear the statements, now man you be, half the time when you ask a man, how are you? Just know that the response you are going to get is, I am fine. And I can assure you, a lot of men are not fine. Mental health remains one of the least discussed issues amongst men, particularly in societies where strength, resilience, and stoicism are often seen as, defining characters of masculinity. Many men face immense pressure to provide, to protect, to succeed, to remain emotionally composed, often at the expense of their own well-being. As we celebrate Father's Day in a couple of days, and of course, this month, as you all know, is Men's Mental Health Month. This conversation will talk about, the realities of modern manhood, the impact of societal expectations on men's mental health, and the barriers that prevent many men from seeking help. And to discuss this with me in the studio, the weight men carry, mental health, masculinity, and the silent struggles of men. I have two very wonderful gentlemen. First is Chinedu Abilimordi, who is a digital consultant. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
And I also have Dr. Jerry Oputa, who is a doctor. Medical, I hope.
Medical doctor, yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to start with you, Chinedu. When you hear the phrase men's mental health, what comes to your mind?
Okay, so, like every other health related discussion, health is just the general check of well-being, So when we have physical health, we have mental health. We tend to see more of the physical health, because it's more external.
Right.
But mental health is more of the inner checking, where your mind is at, where your spirit, basically, what exactly is driving you at that point in time, and generally how you're holding it together.
Right.
Totally. So it could be positive, it could be negative. It all depends on how exactly you played out eventually. Yeah.
Okay. That's very clear. Dr. Jerry, why are men expected to be strong? Is it from a traditional standpoint? Who even started this whole idea that men are not supposed to cry, men are not supposed to show emotions, we all have to be strong? Where did this start from?
Thank you for that question. Ultimately, when it comes to strength, I think strength is a somewhat vague word, because we could talk about strength when you're referring to the physicality of things, and you could talk about strength when you're referring to the mind of things, right? So if we're referring to strength in the physicality, it's pretty obvious, if you're going to be objective in your observation, that men are expected to be strong physically, given that their genetics and their musculature puts them in a position to be stronger. However, when talking about the mentality of things, because men, by traditional standards of society, are expected to be leaders, there are different ideas of what that sort of leadership should look like. And the leadership that had been espoused until recently is one that was devoid of any form of vulnerability, because it was important that the man would image or would signal to the people that he is leading that he is competent and able. But in recent time, we've come to understand and to reevaluate this standpoint to finally accept that vulnerability is a key and integral aspect of leadership, so that the people can reckon with you and at the end of the day find themselves to be leaders as well in their own right. So I think that's just that.
I did my research, and I was told by the internet, maybe I stand to be corrected, that the average lifespan of a man in Nigeria is about 57.
Yes, about that.
7 years old.
About that.
You're a medical doctor. What is the juxtaposition between the mental and physical health? So how can one, if you don't take care of your mental health, how can it affect your physical health?
Because I know there's this particular French philosopher, René Descartes, and he spoke about the Cartesian self. He said the mind is different from the body. There is no sort of interconnectedness between both. But in recent time, modern psychologists have come up to recant that, to say that that's not true. As a matter of fact, there is an intertwine between how the mind functions and the body functions. And just by your feelings and your emotions, there are certain glands in the body that release certain substances that, when they are not properly mitigated or staved off, they can actually affect your health. Like if you have constantly high cortisol in the blood,
the stress
there are a
hormone.
lot of the stress hormone.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that could happen as a consequence of that, right? So your mental health basically refers to how your mind, which is the seat of your emotions and your will, reacts to circumstances and how you deal with that. And as a consequence, on the flip side, your organic matter responds. So if you're afraid, you release certain substances. If you're stressed, you release certain substances.
Yeah.
All of these things happen and the body keeps the score. So if you're in a situation whereby you're under prolonged stress without any respite, no room to find friendship, camaraderie, solace, comfort, you'll find that at the end of the day, your body is shutting down.
Okay.
For some people, at least.
Much later, we're going to discuss about community for men, you know, because most often than not, once men get married, it's just their wife, their kids, and then you see even their circle of friends start thinning down, and that has a way of affecting us as men. Let's get really deep into this thing and let's get practical. So is there any personal experience, Chinedu, that you've been through that sort of motivates you to take care of yourself better as a man?
Okay, so maybe I'll just go a bit personal. You know, I'm currently a survivor of chronic kidney dysfunction, as I said. Yes, so I've been managing the situation for about 4 years. I was diagnosed about 4 years ago, October 2022. That's actually, you know, put me in a situation where I've gone through cycles of both maybe depression, if I could put it that way, and also being able to come out of that depression and getting to a point of hope, and now survival, and even before that, now getting to a point of thriving. And we don't take into the factors that our mental health really does help, you know, help us stay strong and manage situations when they come like this. Because yes, you could be physically strong, you know, and you may face situations that are beyond the scope of like the physicality, you know, where your body just can't handle it, and all you just have is your mind. And then with your mind being able to accept and reconfigure that situation for you, you're able to signal to other people that this challenge, I'm sharing it with you guys. I want you guys to also help me out, and in so doing, opening up and enabling, you know, what I call like your support system to really play out its function. And that essentially just, you know, goes beyond your family, and can also, you know, tap into your friends and your, you know, your network. There's a particular saying where I say your network will always determine your net worth. So when you look at your network and you are able to tap into it from a mental point of view, it's not just the financials, you know, but also them knowing and, you know, putting you in their prayers, their minds, and, you know, supporting you in those ways. Those are also key ways that can also help you stay balanced and help things, you know, actually achieve your goal in the long run.
First, I'd like to say thank you for sharing that deeply personal story with us, Chinedu. And you know, it's not everybody will feel comfortable enough to share, but this is giving hope to millions of men that might be in this situation. And that really leads me to a follow-up question, which is, at what point did you discover, did you think if you had done like earlier checkups that you might have discovered, you know, this situation earlier? You know, so what's the importance of men going into the hospital to do like a regular checkup as well?
Okay, and that is very important question. So upon discovery, you know, I started talking to a lot of other men and I realized that we all have the same habit. We don't do those checkups. We don't believe that every man has this secret feeling that we are Superman, and so when the situations come, you just feel that you can take on the situation and it will get better over time. Sometimes it might not get better. So what I really advise, really honestly, is that as we do every other thing with our checks, even with our cars that we like, let's do the same thing for our bodies. Let's like our bodies as well. Let's like our health. Let's put our health like one of those toys that we look at and we protect. So you know you have to go for your checkups, put it in routine, you know, check your BP, check your sugar levels, you know, these things, prevention is always better than cure. That is the honest truth. Prevention is always better than cure. If I had discovered earlier some of the symptoms that I was experiencing and didn't brush them aside, maybe, just maybe, you know, I might not have been in this situation. But also every disappointment or everything is a blessing in disguise, you know. So we're also getting to that point where more men are actually getting a bit more aware of this work-life balance. And I think that is like the main key insights for most of us. Whatever you're hustling for, you know, you should always remember that at some point in time, you know, you want to ensure that you're able to enjoy whatever you're working for earlier on. So do those checkups, you know, and make sure that you're on top of them.
All right, Dr. Jerry, in your line of work, I'm sure you see a lot of patients and both genders, male, female. What is that one thing you would advise men to do as a medical professional? Like, if there are certain tests that you think every man should do, and what men should watch out for, what would that be?
So as far as this conversation goes, it's quite coincidental that he mentioned something about renal health and having dealt with chronic kidney disease and having to be treated for that, right? I was once in charge of the dialysis center for a particular hospital here in Lagos, and I've worked in quite a number of dialysis centers here in Lagos, right? If we are to make it a male check thing, we would run the risk of highlighting the sexual reproductive health check. So when you say what should men check, your mind already goes to the things that affect men. But I think when we are considering man, it's important for us to consider man not just from the standpoint of the gender, but as a human being. And there are certain things that affect males more than females, but at the end of the day, generally, similar things affect people on both sides of the divide, right? And so you'll find that many people, because men are given to championing industries, being ambitious, undermining the effects of stress, downplaying the long-term effects of not taking care of themselves, and they don't know that maybe they have elevated blood pressure. They don't know that elevated blood pressure is one of the leading causes of chronic kidney disease, from whence we have renal failure, wherein the person will now have to be dependent on a renal replacement therapy like dialysis or require a transplant. So as far as the conversation on health is concerned for men in the medical space, I think we would do ourselves a world of good if we simply subject ourselves to the routine checks like organ function checks.
Organ functions,
at least once a year. Then if we're now going a bit further, we can go and do the whole colonoscopies and stuff like that. But for every properly functioning hospital, there are a barrage of tests that are referred to as routine health checks that every person, male or female, should subject themselves to. And in such searches, depending on how extensive they are, you might now incidentally find out what is wrong with you as an individual. For men, I would say just go to the hospital. This conversation can skew their understanding in a manner that will make them think that, oh, let me just hear what is necessary for men, but it's what's necessary for mankind. So go to the hospital, get checked, and if there is something that is tailored to your care, you will find that out.
Sadly, we're out of time, and I would really love to unpack a lot of things. Father's Day is a few days from now. I hope your wife has already gotten something for you. Because most women just think it's a surprise. They never prepare for Father's Day.
Here's my wife. Well, I hope she does. But
you don't even know. That's what we're talking about. You know what? We're actually out of time. But yeah, if you're a woman watching this, please make sure that you get something nice for all the men around you, whether your husband, your brother, and what have you. My name is Hero Daniels. I do hope you've enjoyed this edition of Robin Minds. Till I catch you next time, please stay safe.
Come on, come on.